What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and today I will be showing you guys the top 5 kind of interesting summoning rulings. So before you start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe. Motivates me so much to keep making videos like these, and also leave a comment in order to give me feedback on what I should be doing and what you think this video kind of lacks or something, anything to make me improve. And also, if you want me to make a video on summoning conditions, which is a completely different topic, also let me know, because I can definitely do that. Just all the weird summoning conditions that people might not really be aware of. But yeah, anyways, let's jump right into the ruling number 1. So let's just say your opponent has something like a Windbearer statue. Can you activate Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, like ever? And the reason is absolutely not, because there is no two different wind kaijus in the game. There's only Gadarla. Whereas if your opponent, for example, had the Light Bearer statue, then you would have been able to use Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, because you can summon Jizukiru and also Thunder King, and there's also like 2 other light kaijus if I recall correctly. But yeah, the Wind Bearer statue, for example, you really can't do anything about it with Slumber. And the reason for that is because special summoning is a part of the requirement to activate the card in the first place. So if you're locked under no special summoning, well, you can't use the card. Whereas if your opponent had the Light Bearer statue, then it would have been a completely different story, because the Bearer statues don't just say neither player can special summon monsters. It's neither player can special summon monsters except X attribute monsters. So yeah, like I said, Light Bearer statue, you can use Slumber, but only if you're trying to specifically summon 2 kaijus that have the exact same attribute. Otherwise, well, you're just gonna not be able to do anything, unfortunately. So maybe Slumber is not the card for you, and maybe kaijus outside of Gadarla might not be for you. Maybe play Regeki or something like that if you're scared about Tri Brigade. But yeah, that's just ruling number 1. Let's get into the next one. Alright, this is something I have talked about in my previous Cyber Strike, well, yeah, okay, whatever, Cyber Strike videos. But basically, if you try to send something from your extra deck to the graveyard, it wasn't obviously properly summoned, because it was sent straight from the extra deck to the grave. It never really was summoned on the field and then hit the grave or the banish in the first place. You can't use a card to revive it back from the graveyard to the field, even if the card that you're trying to use to revive it back says ignoring the summoning conditions. That doesn't change anything, because this is more of like a Yu-Gi-Oh rule. The fact that a monster has to be properly summoned in order to be revived back from the graveyard or the banish. It has absolutely nothing to do with summoning conditions. So cheating it out with Eternal Cyber, for example, doesn't change anything. Same thing with like level modulation. You can't just foolish for a Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 8 and then I think revive it back with level modulation if that's the card. Obviously kind of forgot, but you can't be just cheating the system like that. It just won't work. Whereas if you try to summon it from the deck by ignoring the summoning conditions or the extra deck, then it would be a completely different story. But unfortunately, that is not the way it works. So yeah, kind of sucks, but hey. Anyways, let's get into ruling number 3. Alright, this is pretty interesting, because a lot of people might also not be aware of this, but look at this very carefully. We have King of the Swamp in our hand, and then we have, whatever, Cyber End Dragon in the graveyard. But look at this, we're gonna search for Polymerization, and then we're gonna use Cybernetic Fusion support, which kind of allows us to kind of copy the effect of Cyber Dark Chimera, which means that if we want to fuse this turn, we can also use the materials from the graveyard and banish them. So we are going to be able to banish, for example, Cyber Dragon, Cyber Dark Claw, Cyber End Dragon, and King of the Swamp in order to summon our fusion monster. But which monster can we really summon? I mean, we don't really have anything that just kind of looks logical, right? Well, my friend, King of the Swamp, it's not really an effect. The effect to substitute itself for any fusion material, like I said, it's not an effect, it's a condition, meaning that it is always unnegatable. Even if your opponent has something that says permanently negate the effect of every single monster in your opponent's graveyard, you can still use what I'm going to show you, like literally in 3 seconds. And yes, we're going to use Polymerization to banish King of the Swamp and Cyber End Dragon to make the Cyber Dark End Dragon. Now, it's really hard to kind of understand difference between a continuous effect and a condition, but this card says this card can be used as a substitute for any one fusion monster whose name is specifically listed on the fusion monster card, but the other fusion materials must be correct. This card doesn't say while this monster is on the field, you can substitute it for whatever, blah blah blah. So in other words, this is really just a condition, not a continuous effect. We, like I said, rarely see that. A lot of cards just have continuous effects on the field and that's it, that's all. But yeah, King of the Swamp, pretty unique card. The fact that you can just randomly summon a Cyber Dark End Dragon just by pitching a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard once, so you don't even have to go through the full combo. You can just make Cyber Dark End with pretty much 3 cards. Could be actually pretty interesting and might be something that you could look into. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let's get into the next one. Alright, this is pretty similar to the ruling that I showed on just ruling number 1, I guess, but it's for some reason people just still don't get it. So Vanitys Fiend says neither player can special summon monsters. You can't kaiju this, because people just kind of believe that kaijus, they tribute for cost and then they special summon, but that's actually not the way they really work. I mean, it's kind of the way they end up looking like, but they still have to special summon themselves. So if you're not allowed to special summon monsters, you're also not allowed to use kaijus or lava golem. Sphere mode is a completely different story, because sphere mode is a normal summon. So your opponent can have all the Vanitys Fiends in the world, Vanity's Emptiness, everything, you name it. Sphere mode can always be used. But yeah, Vanitys Fiend was a nightmare during the Paleozoic format because Vanity's Emptiness was legal for some godforsaken reason, and people couldn't kaiju it. So how would you deal with Vanitys Fiend? You had to draw like Dark Hole, Regeki, trap cards, which not a lot of people necessarily played. Pendulums could actually out it with Archfiend Eccentric. ABCs, they could actually deck out to the card unless they played Torque Tune Gear, so the A Assault Core could actually be jumped to 24 with Union Hanger and then crash on the Vanitys Fiend. But we're talking about really specific scenarios, and even Burning Abyss had troubles with Vanitys Fiend. And like I said, people definitely we're not trying to use the kaijus because, yeah, you just cannot special summon. So yeah, make sure that you keep that in mind, because I see a lot of people saying, well, if you're afraid of a card that says you cannot special summon, just kaiju it. Just kaiju it. Just kaiju it. Yeah, no. Alright, let's get into the next one. Alright, this is the final ruling, and this is probably one of my favorites. So, again, this is kind of like a summoning ruling, but at the same time, an effect ruling, which is kind of weird, but don't worry, you're going to be able to understand. Gamma versus there can only be one. How does it really work? How do you make this happen? You're just... Is it really gonna work? I don't know, because let's just say my opponent preemptively flipped the there can only be one, which almost looks like it's kind of trickier because it's not really like he was responding to your Gamma. Can you still use the Gamma? Let's just say it's successfully resolved, which is the case. Then our opponent on open game state uses the effective Ray. The answer is yes, I can still Gamma, and the reason for that is because Gamma will actually summon the monster simultaneously, so you're not really trying to cheat that there can only be one, but then on the resolution, yeah, then you have to check that there can only be one and send a monster, so you only control one monster of each type. But yeah, it's just so weird, and a lot of people might still believe, even today, that there can only be one always counters Gamma, but that is not the case. So yeah, just cards like there can only be one, Rivalry of Warlords and stuff like that, sometimes they can end up creating just really whack scenarios where you think that something is legal when it's not, or something illegal when it's actually a legal move. So yeah, pretty cool. I can make definitely more videos on the rivalry, just weird rulings. Like for example, if there was a face down monster and another monster of the same type and you attack, what happens? Is it gonna flip and then trigger the flip effect, or if it's just gonna die first? I know the answer to that, but if you want the answer, make sure you smash the like button, break uppercut, elbow. I don't know how ET-Pat says it, but yeah, just copy, paste, Control-C, Control-V, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all the beautiful package. I already said that, and I will see you next time. Peace.